Hello, my little loves. So wonderful to see you all. Good evening, good morning. Don't think it's good afternoon for anyone. Thank you for being so on time. That's amazing. We've got 20 of you so far. If you want to I love knowing where you all are. Do you want to, while I just wait for some others to join, do you want to pop in the chat where you are all joining from and what time it is where you are? Hi, Camilla, Jennifer, Sally, Anne, Judith, Rachel. Rachel's here. Hi, Talia's here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Geelong, New York City, 8 o'clock, 10 a.m. I'm in Bali, in Indonesia, and it is 8:01 a.m. Oh, another New York, California, Louisville. Another New York. Oh, look at you guys. Hi, Jennifer. Yay, Jennifer. I'm going to get to know you a lot better soon. Singapore, same, 8 a.m. Amazing. Cool. Krista, Ashley, Janika. That's a cool name. Okay, so amazing. Thank you so much for joining me for the Bloating Poops Sibo webinar. I can talk about this all day long, and so I'm so glad that I can share it with you guys as well. I will get my little screen set up with some slides, and then why not? Let's begin. Can't hear the audio. Can everybody else hear the audio? If you can give me like a thumbs up. Yeah. It's Martina. I might need headphones or like Judith. Oh, that's a good thumbs up. Also in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a little microphone thing. Sometimes you need to change where the speaker is going to sometimes. Anyway, okay. So I will keep an eye on this one. This is my little presentation. How am I going to keep an eye on participants then? View. Admit all. Lots of tabs open. Cool. Okay. So, admit. Here we go. Welcome to my Sibo, Bloating, and All Things Poop webinar. I'm so glad you are here. I love talking about all this stuff, and I feel like most of you probably get to know me quite well through Instagram. So I'm very active on Instagram, and I share a lot about this there. So it's going to be about an hour to an hour and a half, and this is what we will be going through. So I'm huge on educating all the things why, because I find for myself when I understand things, then I'm more easy or more likely to follow through on what I need to do to make it work better. So we're going to go through what causes bloating, is or how much bloating is normal, some symptomatic relief for bloating, and I'll share with you a little technique that I take my clients through that is so helpful, and I do it myself. Poops, there is so much that we can learn from our bowel motions. So how often should we poop? What is ideal? What our poops can tell us about our digestive health. Then we're going to go through what is SIBO. How many of you already know a little bit about SIBO? Who's not heard of SIBO before, or who hadn't heard of SIBO before finding me? If you want to pop that in the comments, I love to know. Not much, just a little. I was at a friend's party on the weekend, and I was chatting to a girl who's also into health stuff, and she was talking to me about SIBO, and I was like, whoa, I don't think I've ever met anyone in real life that has known about SIBO before I've told them about SIBO. So that's pretty cool. Yes, I know, Anne, you're amazing. So good to see you again. It's so lovely. Okay, so what is SIBO? Yes, I was diagnosed in April with EMO. So this is the new classification of SIBO, intestinal methanogen overgrowth, because it's the methane guys that produce the methane gas, which is not actually bacteria, but it's an archaea. Diagnosed with SIBO. And how did you feel about that? It's been over. Oh my gosh, I'm going to share so much about my SIBO story because we'll get there. Okay, So, a couple of years, yeah. How do we get SIBO? What SIBO feels like? Testing for SIBO, treatment options for SIBO, including a time-sensitive special offer for you guys that are here that's not going to be extended for others. And then I've left time at the end for a Q&A, so you're welcome to ask me anything. As we go through, you are welcome to put any and all questions in the chat. I'll keep scanning it as we go through, and if it's relevant to what I'm talking about, we'll go through it then. If not, I'll come to the end. But also, this chat gets saved on my end, so if we run out of time, I can still address them later on Instagram or send it out in a recording. Okay, so let's get into it. Who am I? So in case you haven't followed me for too long, so my name is Kirsten. I work as a naturopath and a medical herbalist, and I help my clients with their digestive issues, in particular SIBO and the microbiome stuff, pretty much everything related to digestive health. And I'm originally from South Africa. I sound Australian. That's where I trained and qualified to be as a naturopath. And I now live in Bali, Indonesia, but contemplating a move back home pretty soon. So why I do what I do is because I've been there. So I joke that the universe helped me out with my calling. So I was aware from a very early age that health was a little bit hard for me. I was aware from a very early age that food was a bit hard for me. I would get tummy aches a lot. I would complain of aches and pains, and I would avoid eating for a period of time because every time I ate, it made me feel bad. So that was memories from when I first started having memories even. Like I remember at my 6th birthday party, that was a thing. So I went through my growing years developing a very disordered relationship with food. And I would look at people that could eat a meal and not really be bothered by it on a physical and emotional level, because I felt that I became quite obsessed with food because I just couldn't figure out why I couldn't eat the food without feeling bad, without getting fat. So I wasn't getting fat, I was getting bloated. So I was always trying different things to just feel better than I did. I didn't feel like it should be such a struggle. And what I was always chasing was peace. So I just wanted to have a peaceful relationship with food. I wanted to have a peaceful relationship with my body. So all these different things led me to studying naturopathy, to getting into natural medicine. And then through studying naturopathy, through learning so much about the body and trying different things that have been recommended, it was quite a long journey for me to find out that eventually I had SIBO. So back in 2016, I got my SIBO diagnosis. I probably had it for many, 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 many years before that. And it's really cool. Like since I started studying, which was back in 2008, there has been, I feel, a huge growth in the awareness of natural medicine, in natural health. The interest is growing. And then since I've been working with SIBO, which is since I got diagnosed with SIBO and fixed it myself, I've noticed a huge increase in awareness of SIBO. So that is just wonderful. I think there's quite a few things that make me a really great naturopath. And one of them is that I have been through it all myself. So I can relate to you guys so much and what you're going through, and it really stinks. So I'm so glad that you're here. Okay, so let's start with bloating. So what is bloating? So it can look like this, but so bloating is a buildup of gas in the abdomen, and it can result in like a physical distension, or it could just be something that you feel, so you can feel it on the inside. Who relates to bloating? And if you are experiencing bloating, what do you feel is on a scale of 1 to 10? So when I had my SIBO, when I had my digestive issues, I would bloat every time that I ate. It was super uncomfortable. It was super embarrassing, and I got really embarrassed about it. The bloating tends to happen, so it's not even that there's an excess amount of gas sometimes, but it's that it's not moving through the intestines as it should, so it allows to build up in the one spot, which can cause the bloating. So that's what it is on the physical. Oh, 9s. There's a few 9s. That's a lot. So we got Janika 7, 6 from Krista, Jessica 9, Val's 7, Jennifer's a 9. SIBO free, but still physically bloat quite a bit. Yep, me too. When I cleared my SIBO, I was convinced that I still had SIBO because I was still getting all the bloating. So we're going to come to that 9 most of the time. It's a lot, huh? It's so annoying. So annoying. This was me. So I share a lot about my story because back when I was going through my journey, I felt so alone. And if I knew that there was just one other person in the world that was going through what I was going through, I wouldn't have felt so broken. I wouldn't have felt so ashamed. So this was me. I'd been eating some foods, regular foods, and the frustrating things with things like SIBO or IBS, it's often the healthy foods that cause the most amount of bloating. So we can get bloating from different things. One of the top causes of bloating is undigested food. So if we can't digest the food properly, it can sit there and it can ferment or it can putrefy, and this can cause a buildup of the gas. And in particular, it's often the fiber. So fiber is the indigestible part of a plant food, and we rely on bacteria to break it down. So I'll come a lot more to SIBO after because it's so big. But if the bacteria are in your small intestine, then they're going to digest the fiber there, which we don't want, and that's going to cause the gas in your small intestine. So a natural process of the bacteria breaking down fiber is fermentation, but we want that to be happening in the large intestine. So then also, if we don't have enough good bacteria in our large intestine, they can't digest the fiber, so we also end up with undigested food. So that's a huge cause of bloating. IBS, SIBO, and food intolerances. So IBS stands for Irritable Bowel Syndrome. Anytime you hear the word syndrome, it is referring to a collection of symptoms. So irritable bowel syndrome, and the symptoms that it refers to is often pain on defecation or abdominal pain or changes in bowel movements. So it's giving you a classification of your symptoms, but it's not telling you why you've got them. So if anyone has been told that you just have IBS, carry on digging because there's something going on beneath that. And when you can figure that out, then you can get better. One of the top causes of IBS is SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. But as I forget now who said it up top, IMO, so intestinal methanogen overgrowth. So SIBO is an overgrowth of bacteria in your small intestine. It's not necessarily bad bacteria, it's just in the wrong spot, or it's the methanogens. And there's been studies that have shown that up to 84% of IBS cases are caused by SIBO. So when I got my SIBO diagnosis, it was like this double-edged sword of me being devastated because everything you read about SIBO is that it's so hard to treat. Doesn't have to be. But I was also really happy because I finally had an answer that was something that I could actually, there's a thing that's wrong with my digestive system. It's not all in my head. I'm not broken. My body's not broken. It's just this one part needs to be resolved. So I often hear people getting told that they just have IBS and they need to learn how to live with it. You don't. You can fix it. So food intolerances. So a food intolerance is different to a food allergy. So if you have a food allergy, it tends to be very immediate. So you might end up in anaphylaxis or hives, and it's something like shellfish or peanuts. Food intolerances can develop over time, and it's dose dependent, meaning that you might be able to have a little bit, but you might not be able to have a lot. So if you have more than you can tolerate, then you can end up with bloating. Constipation, super, super common. So I was chronically constipated most of my life. And if you are not eliminating your waste, then for sure it can cause the bloating as well. Overeating. You'll see another photo later on. So part of my struggle was that I would restrict for so long, but then I would overeat because I was so hungry, and it developed into like this binge restrict cycle. So if you think about like your toilet, if you put too much toilet paper in your toilet, you're going to clog the pipes. So if we put too much food in our body at once and we can't digest that amount efficiently, then it can lead to the fermentation and the putrefaction again, and that can cause the bloating too. So we don't want to clog our pipes with too much food. And menstruation can also for some women. So there's different hormones that can slow down motility. Motility is the movement through our digestive tract. So if that's not working as it should, then yes, this can cause bloating as well. Yes, Jessica's asking if we'll have access to the slides or the recording. Both, my love. So you will get both after I have finished. So probably later on today or tomorrow. They're really pretty. Sam helps me with them. You are welcome. So it's always about finding out why you've got a problem, but there are also some things that you can do in the moment. I also do recommend taking notes as you go, because I think the biggest lie that we tell ourselves as adults is, I'll remember that. So if it's a pen and paper or if it's on your phone, that would be really cool. So these are some bloating relief tips that you can use today while working on the root causes. Hot water bottles or heat packs. So when you can put something on your abdomen, it's going to help with drawing circulation to that area. When you increase the circulation to an area, it's going to bring with it fresh nutrients, and that can help to decrease inflammation. And if you don't have a hot water bottle, you can make a little heat pack super easily. You just need to, say, put some rice into a tea towel, and you can put that in the oven or the microwave, maybe just tie it up from there. And then you can use that as a heat pack. Easy peasy. Why? I sort of see myself. Cool. Castor oil packs. So castor oil you can get in most health food stores. You can get it on Amazon. And castor oil has this wonderful effect of drawing out. I hate using the word toxin because it gets such an eye roll, but if anyone knows of a better way to say toxin, that it is what it is, it's a toxin. But castor oil has this amazing ability to draw toxins from within. So when you place a castor oil pack on your belly, it can help to draw toxins out from your digestive tract. It sounds very hippy-dippy, but it's one of those old school remedies that actually works. And you can use it for other things as well. So it's wonderful on like the liver. If you ever have any discomfort underneath your right rib cage, you can use it there, or you can put it on your stomach, which is underneath your left rib cage. So they are wonderful. There's lots of different ways you can do it. You can just Google how to do a castor oil pack, but simply it's putting castor oil on a cloth, putting that on your abdomen, maybe covering it with some plastic, doesn't get too messy, applying a heat source, and then just chilling for about half an hour. So lovely, so comforting. It's also super soothing. And I don't know if you guys know, like the small intestine is the site of nourishment. So it's a site of our physical nourishment because it's where we digest and absorb most of our food and nutrition. And it's also, if we're lacking in, say, emotional nourishment, this can definitely impact our digestive system. So putting a castor oil pack or a hot water, it's just so soothing. So huge, huge fan. Can you use castor oil after a meal, say 2 hours? Yeah, no problem. That would be really lovely. And combinative tea. So combinative teas help with decreasing any spasms and they aid digestion. So to make a combinative tea, you can do equal parts fennel seeds, caraway seeds, and anise seeds. The seeds part's really important because fennel leaf is what we call contraindicated, means it's not appropriate with SIBO, but the seeds are. So it's really, really nice. Cold showers. So if you've had a hot bath, if you think about what happens when you've been sitting in a hot bath for like 10 minutes, you start to sweat everywhere. So all the, it's called like a diaphoretic. So you're putting everything out to your extremities. So when you have a cold shower, it brings back the circulation to your inner organs, so like your digestive system. So if you have a hot shower or a hot bath, it's always really nice to finish with a cold shower. Cool. Did you say leaves are okay, but not the seeds? No, I said the seeds are okay. So I've written down the seeds here. So fennel seeds, caraway seeds, anise seeds. So if you have SIBO, then you don't want to have the fennel leaves. You want to have the seeds. Super duper. Deep breathing. So this is one of my absolute favorite things to help with digestive issues. And it sounds too easy to be true, but 100%, it's amazing. When I take my guys through SIBO Freedom, which is my group coaching program for SIBO stuff and all the digestive stuff, I ask them as we finish this 3-month program, it's like, what top 3 things have you noticed help your digestion the most? And pretty much always deep breathing is listed as one of the top 3. And it's amazing. And studies have shown that when you become well practiced in deep breathing, you can use it to reduce a bloating flare in the moment, which is amazing. So to do the deep breathing and why it's effective, like the science behind it, is that when we do this special kind of deep breathing, it activates the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is one, it is connected with our motility and our migrating motor complex. It also turns on your parasympathetic nervous system, which is a part of the autonomic nervous system that controls your digestion. So when you can do that, you will have increased stomach acid, you will have decreased spasms, you will have better motility, better movement. So all you need to do is breathe deep down into your belly and make your exhales longer than your inhales. It's that simple. So I like to put my fingertips together on my belly. As I breathe in, the belly should rise. As you breathe out, the belly should fall. If you've ever watched a baby sleeping, you'll know you'll see their belly rising and falling. If you watch an adult, it's usually their chest. So this is what we call paradoxical breathing. So as we go through life, especially the lives that we lead nowadays, they're so busy, we develop this shallow breathing. So the more that we can come back to the deep belly breaths, the better this will be for our digestive systems. And I would love to get you guys to maybe just set yourself a little challenge and just do it for 1 week. So do this little exercise for 7 days and then decide for yourself how you feel and was it worth it. So I think if we say, yes, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, it can seem a little bit too overwhelming. So I'm a huge fan of setting small, achievable goals. And then when you've experienced for yourself, you can decide whether or not you want to keep it in. So if you do deep breathing every morning and every night and before meals, even if you don't change anything else, I bet you your digestion will improve. So just 10 deep breaths morning and night and see how you go from there. It is so lovely. Does peppermint tea help with bloating, or is that just a myth? It does. It helps to soothe digestion. Just with anyone that has a reflux, which is kind of when you feel that burning coming back up again, I would avoid peppermint because it can relax something that's called the esophageal sphincter, which is that little muscle that opens and closes from your esophagus into your stomach. So it can cause that to stay open, so it can make reflux worse for some people. But otherwise, absolutely amazing. I love it. Chamomile tea is also great for the digestive system, but not appropriate if you have a current acute case of SIBO. Lovely. Good question. Poops! Oh my gosh, I love talking about poops. I used to get so embarrassed talking about poops. I used to not even pay attention to how often I pooped. I think it was probably like 2 or 3 times a week, maybe, until I started learning about all the stuff becoming a naturopath, and you realize like, oh, that's actually not quite right. So there is so much that we can learn from our poops. So what is ideal when it comes to our poop? So we want to be having a bowel motion every day, between 1 and 3 times per day. It's not that 1 is better or 3 is better. It depends on the person and what you are currently eating. And want it to be easy to pass, so ideally no straining. And it should be a nice, smooth sausage. I got so many questions that people sent through on my Instagram about different poops, so I will be coming to those after, but I'm going to be going through some of the most common things that I see and what they can mean for us. So good. I think anyone that's had issues with their bowels will appreciate just how good a good poo is. And I was so proud of my body when it came back into balance, and I now have a bowel motion every day, and it's really cool. And I still give my little body a high five when I have like the perfect sausage, which is pretty much most of the time. So transit time. So transit time is referring to how long it takes food to get from the beginning out to the end on the other side. So this is what we call total transit time. You can also have small intestine transit time, large intestine transit time. So the ideal total transit time is between 19 and 24 hours. If it's less than 19 hours, then you run the risk of not absorbing all the nutrition from your food. So it's not just you are what you eat, it is what you digest and absorb. And then if it's longer than 24 hours, you run the risk of reabsorbing some of the waste that your body is trying to eliminate. I've had clients, I think like 72 hours, maybe was one of the biggest ones that I've seen, which is about 3 days for it to pass through your digestive tract. And this is not a diagnostic scientific test, but it's a little home test that you can do to get an idea of where you might be sitting at the moment. So if you eat a pretty decent handful of grated beetroot or a pretty decent handful of corn, and then you time how long it takes to come out the other end. For most people, like around 90% of people, the beetroot will turn your poo purple. And then corn has an undigested kind of fiber in its husk, so we tend to see that in our stool as well. For some people, it also works with sesame seeds, so you can see what goes on from there. So if it's faster, then how do you slow it down? It's about regulating. This is the cool thing with natural medicine. So natural medicine is about supporting the body so that it comes back into balance so that it can do its job as it's meant to do. We just kind of need to give it the right ingredients and the right environment and then get out of the way. It is absolutely amazing. So it could be like if it's too fast, I often think of inflammation in the digestive system. So we have so many nerve endings in our digestive system. We have about 500 million nerve endings in our digestive tract compared to 200 to 300 million nerve endings in our central spinal cord. So there's more nerve endings in your digestive system than there are in your central nervous system. So if they are constantly being triggered, they become more sensitive. There's something called visceral hypersensitivity. So if your nerve endings are oversensitive, then it can cause, it's like a domino effect. So you stimulate them higher up, it's like, so they can push them out. So it could be about the nerve endings. It could be about decreasing inflammation in the gut. You could be too low in your good bacteria, so we need to boost them up. When the body is in balance, it knows what to do. So there's so much that comes into that, and you can do them all at once, and you should do them all at once. And pretty much any digestive issue that we have, if it's bloating, if it's diarrhea, if it's constipation, if it's SIBO, if it's something else, it's never just that one problem. There's often a multiple things going wrong, and you need to bring them all back into balance, and so then it works as it's designed to work. Super cool. Why is beet goes out a lot faster than corn? I did the test several times maybe. Different for different people. Like it could be that maybe your body doesn't like the beetroot, so it wants to get it out faster. I can't ever go without an enema. The longest time that has passed is a week without bowel motion. Oh my gosh, that would be so uncomfortable, my love. And know that it is, I absolutely believe that it's possible for everybody's body to heal. Just need to figure out what's gone wrong and heal all the parts so that it can work as it should. So really, really like a lifetime of constipation. My mum said that I was a very colicky baby. So even from birth, I had digestive issues. And then I sorted them all out. So the big kapow was maybe like in 2016 when I got the diagnosis and everything was just fall apart. And I'm now at a place where I have a bowel motion every day, sometimes multiple times a day. It depends what I'm eating, depends what I'm doing. And my body just works as it's meant to work. Like I don't need to be particular with food. I don't need to be particular with everything else. I have a lot of really good healthy habits in place now that serve me, so I don't need to be hyper focused on my health. I for sure went through a stage where I was obsessed with food, obsessed with getting everything right. I had to be perfect. I had to do this. I'll explain more about that when we come to the SIBO stuff, because it was a huge part of my life for a long period of time. But now, like if I wasn't talking about it for work all the time, I would forget how sick I used to be. And I wish that for all of you. It's absolutely possible. Dottie, I'm going to come to, I've got quite a few questions on the type of poo, which I might come to at the end. I'll just go through the main ones from here. So this is something called the Bristol stool chart. There's heaps of diagrams like this on the internet. And just so that we can get clear on, the most important thing I like to clarify is the difference between diarrhea and loose stools. So diarrhea is down here, it's number 7. It's like watery, it's liquid, it's often very yellow. That's what us health practitioners would classify as diarrhea. Whereas so here is number 4. This is what we are, oh no, beg your pardon. This is what we are aiming for. So the long, smooth sausage. It's the one push wonder. You pass it and down it goes. It doesn't stick to the bowl. They feel really good. Then, so going down the other way, so number 5, you might feel like you pass it in one go, but then it falls apart as it gets to the bowl. That's not perfect, but it's not such a big deal. So if it forms a mound at the bottom, then it can just show that maybe we might need some more fiber, maybe less fiber, maybe more bacteria. So number 5 isn't awful, but it's not ideal. And then number 6, you might just feel like it's all coming out quite loose. So I would still classify these as loose stools. And then you get to 7, which is the diarrhea. So diarrhea can come often from a acute infection. So it could be like food poisoning. So if you have diarrhea for longer than 3 days, this is a problem, and definitely speak to your practitioner about it. You run the risk of losing out on your electrolytes. So you could become severely dehydrated. You probably also won't be absorbing the nutrition from your food. So yeah, we don't want diarrhea. And type 3, so this is also still pretty fab, but you might see more indents. So your colon is very kinked. So if it spends a little bit longer in your colon, you'll get these little indentations in it. And then this will be really lumpy, and this is the little rabbit pellets. So you can still have a bowel motion every day and be constipated. So if you are 2 or 1, even if it's every day, you're still constipated. And with that transit time test, so yeah, I've had clients that come back at about 72 hours, which is 3 days. So that's definitely constipated. So we went to be having a bowel motion each and every day between 19 and 24 hours. So these are some common things to look out for and what they mean. How interesting is poo? It's so interesting. I love it. So sticky poos. This is really common. Oh, before I move on, what if it's a type 4 but super skinny worm-like? This is a really good question. So if it's like that sometimes but not always, it's less of an issue. So if it is super skinny, it shows that there is a buildup of something in the abdomen. So it's compressing onto your colon and causing your stool to be thinner and skinny. If it's like that always, so if you have like more than 6 weeks, absolutely every single one, this is important. So if every single one is skinny, then I would be getting that checked out 100%, because it could be that there is a mass in your abdomen that needs to be investigated. But if it's skinny sometimes and not others, then it's more likely to do with bloating. So if you are bloated, there's a buildup of gas in the abdomen, it could be compressing on your colon and causing the skinny stools. So sticky poos. So if it sticks to the bowl and you need to use a brush to get it off, or the little water gun, then I often think of inflammation in your digestive tract. So our whole digestive tract is lined with something called like a mucous membrane. So this mucous membrane lining helps with so many different functions. And then say it's easy to relate to like our nose. Like if we have a cold or a flu or hay fever or seasonal allergies, we might get mucus in our nose. So this is also a mucous membrane. So in our digestive system, we have this mucous membrane, and if it is aggravated or inflamed, it will release mucus. So if we have, say, food intolerances, and you're eating certain food intolerances and your digestive system doesn't like it and it's getting irritated, it can release mucus as a way to protect the underneath layer. So the mucus is sticky, it mixes in with your stool and makes your stool sticky. So if you have sticky stools, it's showing that your digestive system for sure needs some love. And it can be what you ate that day, but it can also be up to 3 days beforehand. So having a look out for that one. Who relates to sticky poos? I definitely had sticky poos too. Does sticky poos mean if it sticks to the bowl or just more mucus in the stool? Usually to the bowl, but the mucus can also come out separately. It's like that white creamy stuff as well. So if you have got mucus in your stool, then yes, I think of inflammation or irritation in your digestive tract. Food and stool. So we don't really want to be seeing food in our stool. So with the corn, there is a certain kind of fiber that we don't digest, or the bacteria don't digest, so that will show up. But if you are seeing food in your stool, it's showing that you are not digesting it properly. So often a lack of digestive enzymes to break down the food properly. Black poo. So this is different to dark brown poo. So just to clarify that. And black poo, if you're not taking something like activated charcoal, because that will turn it black as well. So if you have like black poo, I've never actually had a client with it, but I just think it's very important to talk about. So if there's black poo, then it can indicate internal bleeding, and it's something that you should go checked out yesterday. So different to dark brown, but if it's black, a little bit of blood sometimes can happen if you've got like a tear or a fissure. If it's the bright red blood, then this is obviously still not ideal, but it's not as big a deal as black poo. It tends to be that last, so the rectum is that last little bit. It tends to be something in the rectum, and maybe like the skin's just been torn. So looking out for those. White specks. So sometimes it could be that if you've been eating lots of rice and you're not digesting your food so well, the rice could show up. If it's not that, then it could be little parasites or something in there, or the eggs. It's a bit gross. Greasy stools. So it tends to be like if they float. This is where naturopaths and Ayurvedic practitioners actually differ on this one. But for me, when I read something that maybe there is conflicting information of, I read the thing and apply it to the knowledge that I have, and then see where I sit with it. This is why I'm so big on educating. So the more that I can help educate you guys, you can make informed decisions about your body. And actually, does that feel right, or does this feel right? So I do follow the belief that your stool should not float. So the density of the fat and the water. So if your stool is floating, it shows that it's quite high in fat. So you're not breaking down your fat so well. So this can be with the greasy stools as well. And foul smelling. So I don't think anyone's poo is going to smell like roses, but you may have noticed if you've had like a bout of food poisoning, or if you've eaten something dodgy, you're going to have some really stinky stools. That shouldn't be happening on a day-to-day basis. Is greasy also sticky? A bit different. And you can have all of these at the same time. So it doesn't be that you just have one or the other. What about seeds that are showing up in the stool? Depends which one. So sometimes, as I was saying, sesame seeds can show up, but most of the time we don't really want other seeds to show up. Maybe hemp seeds sometimes. Flax seeds, they will pass through undigested. So if you are eating flax seeds for the health benefits, you do need to make sure they are ground up before eating them. Otherwise, you won't get the benefits from them. We can't break down the shell. Interesting, huh? And I will come back to, might be the hemp, maybe. Yeah. Maybe even if you are noticing that, try grinding up the hemp before eating them. Any way that we can help to support our digestive system, the better. Actually, I want to go to those questions now, actually. Because I love talking about it. It's so funny. Like, I used to be so embarrassed talking about health or poo or anything, because I was so ashamed, because I just felt like my health was so bad. But it's so interesting. So I've got no problem talking about poo now. What if it's kinked stool? Stool shaped like a crescent moon, trapezoid, not all the time, along with normal sausage, all of them fully formed and fully evacuated. It could be like, if it's not all the time, I wouldn't get too focused on it. It could be like to do with how much fiber you had that day, or how much water you had that day. And a thing I want to add in here, it's so good to be aware of what's happening with our bodies and any issues that we may be having. It's also very important not to become hyper-focused on them. So if we become obsessed about our health, and I was totally there, so this is why I think it's important to share. If we become obsessed about our symptoms, if we become obsessed about our health, it can have a really negative impact on our health. So check in with yourself consistently, and make sure like you are progressing in the direction you want to go towards your goals, but do try not to become hyper focused or obsessed about things. What about shards or slivers? What about coming out in a loose pile? So what about the loose pile? Shards or slivers, I'm not too sure what that one refers to. So if you are here, you can just let me know. Otherwise, you can ask me another time with more description. Medium greenish brown. I know it's not veggies and often have bloating after eating. So why do you think it's not the veggies? Is it because you can't eat the veggies? I had to have more information on that one too. Like if there's like color in there, it shows that your body's not breaking down something. So the exception is like the beetroot. That's the pigment in there that happens as a natural part of the digestive process. But we're looking for a medium to light brown is what we're looking for. What did you say the reason for foul smelling stool? It's not being digested properly. And so there's different kinds, mostly a lot to do with different kinds of bacteria that we have. So we have lots of different microbiomes. When you hear us practitioners talk about the microbiome, we're almost always referring to the one in our digestive system. So we have good bacteria, bad bacteria. The good bacteria, when they break down the food, and all bacteria break down food through a process of fermentation. When the good bacteria break it down, they give us good things. So they help us with producing serotonin, they help us with our immune system, they help us with our B vitamins. When the bad bacteria break it down, they don't give us such good things. Like they can promote inflammation, they can cause irritation, they can release toxins into the digestive tract. And then also, if you have a bit of a mess in there, so if things aren't being eliminated out so well, then the chances are you've got some old stuff caked onto the sides. So that could be carrying out the smell as well. And then different kinds of bacteria. There's some, I don't know who's heard of the hydrogen guys. So the two top hydrogen guys are your D cell Vibrio and Beta Wadsworthia. They can create stinky farts and stinky stools as well. When we pass gas and normal parts of digestion as well, it should be odorless. So the gas is odorless by itself. If you have stinky farts, it is carrying the smell of something else that's in there. So if it is smelling a bit rotten, then you might have some rotten stuff in there too. Bummer. Always floats with lots of tiny bubbles in stools. So the floating could be not digesting the fat so well, and the bubbles in stool could be like there's just so much gas. And trapped gas can be, sorry about that noise, there's something happening in store. Trapped gas can be super painful actually. So if you have lots of cramping in your abdomen, I'd be looking into trapped gas, maybe looking at getting some visceral manipulation therapy. Super helpful. Okay, let's carry on. So, SIBO. What is a SIBO? It is so common with people experiencing bloating. So I wish more people knew about it. So SIBO, I said it before, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And how does it feel? So it feels really bad. It feels awful. And it's not just about your digestive issues. It's affected my whole life. So we can still live our lives. Like we can still go to work. We can still go to yoga. We can still do the things. But for me, it just put this big black cloud over everything. It consumed my life. I was always thinking about what can I eat? What can't I eat? It was awful. So these are some digestive issues that are related to SIBO. So you might have the bloating. I'd say that probably around 85% of my clients that have SIBO have bloating, but not everybody does. So it doesn't have to come along for the ride. So bowel issues, so you can have constipation, you can have diarrhea, or it could be alternating between the two. Nausea, reflux, gas, and food intolerances. So you can have one, you can have all, you can just have some. It's horrible. Also weight loss or weight gain. My weight now is nice and stable, but I definitely struggled with that for most of my life. So you can also get other symptoms related to SIBO that might not make the connection because it's not really digestive. So fatigue, so just feeling tired. If you're not able to digest your food and get the nutrition from it, you can end up tired. And all the mess that having SIBO creates, like all the toxins, that can make you tired as well. So many reasons. Skin, so you can have itchy skin, acne, eczema. I myself had really bad acne, like all over my face. It was super sore, super painful, super embarrassing. I used to cry about it. Never have it anymore. I also had itchy skin, so I had histamine intolerance as well when I was going through all my digestive issues. That's all gone too. Brain fog. Who can relate to brain fog? So just like that cotton wool feeling in your brain, like what are the words? What am I doing here? I can't focus. It's horrible. Headaches. Talia, my worst symptom, isn't it? Isn't it? Like I remember one of my lecturers in college, she talked about like the theory of mind over matter in some ways. Like if you were to hurt your hand, you can't use that hand, but you can still use the rest of your body. Whereas if you have a headache or brain fog, that just puts the whole thing out. So you just got to go and lie down. You can't use the rest of your body. Fatigue and brain fogs. It does suck. Wow. I'm sorry that you're going through that. Anxiety and or depression. I had it really, really bad. And it's not until like, this is like one way where forgetting how sick you used to be is awesome. So there was like most days I had anxiety, I had really bad apathy. So I'd wake up in the morning, it's like, what's the point? What is the point? If this is my life, I don't want to live it. I would cry all the time. I'd find myself on the bathroom floor. I didn't want to see anyone. I was having a really, really hard time. And it's not that I don't ever get anxious now, like I do, but it's more like it's stuff that I think is a big deal. So like say before doing a webinar like this, I love giving them, but before I'm like, oh, I hope I get everyone's questions, I hope I do this thing. So it's not that you never can feel sad or anxious, but it's very rare. Like most of the time, what I show you guys on my social media is me. And my friends say that like, oh, it's so cool seeing you in real life and Instagram and you being the same person. Most of the time I am happy and bubbly and optimistic and I feel really good. So if you are dealing with any or all of those, I'm so sorry. I'm so glad you're here because there's so much that you can do about it. There's such a big gut-brain connection. And depression, I feel like I might even claim it like most of the time I do feel like it's coming from poor digestive health. There's even so much studies. So how the scientists will test their pharmaceutical antidepressants, they will inject mice with something called lipopolysaccharides, which causes inflammation in the brain, and then they'll give them an antidepressant to see if it's effective. These lipopolysaccharides are produced in our digestive system if we have certain kinds of bacteria and we're eating the wrong kinds of food or we can't digest it. It's what's known as an endotoxin. So a toxin produced from within the body. So if you have this issue in imbalance in your digestive system, so we can have things like SIBO and dysbiosis in our large intestine. So dysbiosis is like an imbalance in our microbiome, and they often come together. So you can have an overgrowth in your small intestine and an undergrowth of the good stuff in your large intestine. So if you are producing these lipopolysaccharides and then you've got leaky gut and it gets through into your bloodstream and then it gets into the brain, it causes inflammation in the brain, which is these feelings of anxiety and depression and the brain fog. So my mental health is so good now that my digestive health is so good. It's amazing. Do you know if most people with SIBO have histamine intolerance? If you cut out those foods and reintroduce and feel cramping, is that a sign? I wouldn't say that most people have histamine intolerance, and it's not that SIBO causes histamine intolerance, but it often comes along for the ride. So SIBO and leaky gut are often found together. So if you've got leaky gut, then we tend to get these histamine reactions. So any sort of food, so when we see intolerance, they can be healed, like healing up the digestive system and especially healing up leaky gut. Most people that come to see me have some degree of leaky gut. I'd probably be pretty confident. And those of you that are here for trying to figure out your digestive issues, you've probably got some leaky gut. Totally fine. It's not too hard to resolve. So when we decrease these intolerances and heal the gut, it becomes less reactive. So the immune system can get confused when it's triggered too much all the time. So we have something called antigens and antibodies. So the immune system releases antibodies in response to antigens. Antigens are like the foreign invaders that it thinks it needs to attack. So when the immune system gets confused, it doesn't recognize that these antigens in certain foods are harmless, and so it becomes overreactive. So histamine intolerance can be like an overreactive. But yeah, I've got no issues with histamine foods now anymore. Sore or stiff joints. So I had that one for sure as well. So I was teaching yoga at the time of the height of my SIBO stuff, when I couldn't even touch my toes. Whereas before, I used to be so bendy. I used to be able to like bend over backwards and grab my heels. It's crazy. So this is where I share my story a lot, again, just to show you guys that you're not alone, you're not broken. There's just something could be going wrong that's led you to be here today. So this is me. This is me back in February 2016. I was restrictive dieting there, so my body's just not naturally like that. I was really restricting my calories. I was being so particular. And before that, I kind of found the low carb, high fat diet, and that was making me feel really good. With the knowledge that I have now, is because it was so low in fiber. So back when I was in college, they taught us that the vegetarian diet was the healthiest diets of all. So I went vegetarian, and I felt so bad. I got so inflamed. I was so puffy. I had brain fog all the time. My acne was its worst. I gained lots of weight, and I just felt so bad. So I did that for 6 months, and then I was like, this is just not working. I had to stop. And then I found the low carb, high fat diet, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I don't feel bloated. I got no brain fog. My skin's clearing up. And it worked for a while until it didn't work. And then I couldn't understand it. I was like, well, I haven't changed my food. Why am I getting bloated again? And bit by bit, all these symptoms started coming back. So I find with the low carb, high fat diet or the ketogenic diet, there's this rebound effect after about 3 months. So people that go on a keto diet or low carb, high fat diet, my brain just goes into like amber alerts. It's like, oh, I think your digestive system's out of balance. So with the knowledge I have now, I can tell you that like my digestive health was not so good. So I didn't have enough good bacteria to break down all the food that I was trying to eat, like all that fiber. So we need our good bacteria in our microbiome to break down the fiber. So if you don't have enough good bacteria, or if they're not strong enough, they can't break down the fiber, you end up with undigested food. So I was just creating such a toxic mess in my digestive system, which was so frustrating because I was doing all the right things. So like eating a super healthy vegetarian diet, exercising 6 days a week, drinking all the water, getting all the sleep, but I felt so bad. It was so frustrating. So dangerous long term, I know. Oh, really, Sally? How about that? And so then at that stage, I pretty much wasn't eating any plant foods. Like I was just like surviving off chicken and eggs because those were the only things that didn't make me bloat. There was also some vanity in there. Like I enjoyed having a six pack, and I felt the need to like, that was so horrible. It was so horrible. I felt so ashamed. I felt like this prisoner in my body. So yeah, having a body like that didn't equate to self-confidence or happiness. No, definitely not. And then on the right is not that long after me actually getting rid of SIBO. So because I'd been so restricted for so long, then when I could eat all the things, I went absolutely berserk. So then I found this list that said, okay, this is like I started on the specific carbohydrate diet. And then I found the SIBO specific diet. And then this one said that I could eat bananas. And so I ate 5 bananas at a time. And then I just, blah, it was awful. And then the physical part of it is never just the only solution. Like we have to heal the mental and emotional side of it as well. So I had to do lots of emotional work and to heal that relationship with my body, with myself, with my food. It was awful. It was awful. I felt so shit. Oh, really, Katrina? Oh, look at you guys. Yeah. And this is me now. So this is last month, and this is me feeling really, really good physically, mentally, and emotionally. This is me just out there living my life and enjoying my life. I've got a little sign on my wall, if you can read it from there. There's a quote by Mosh Feldenkrais. It's like, health is the ability to live the life of your dreams. I changed a little bit to health is the ability to enjoy the life of your dreams, because I had a dream life back in the before photos. I still had the same life, but the ability to enjoy it now that has changed. So I've got energy all day long. I have the will to go out and see people, so I don't want to isolate myself anymore. I've got the physical strength to go surfing. I love surfing, but I stopped surfing back then because I was so embarrassed about my bloated belly. So it's nice. I don't count calories. I don't count macros. I don't do all the things. I'm not fighting with my body anymore. So back before, I felt like I was always fighting not to eat the entire contents of the house. Like I can have some biscuits in the house and I have them every now and again. And it's not this war with my body. If you guys can relate to that, it just feels so much more peaceful, which is what I was chasing when I started studying to become a naturopath. Like I just want some peace, man. I just want some peace with my body. So there you go. So it is possible. Would love to know what emotional work you did. I did lots. So in all my programs with all my clients, like I'm not a mental health practitioner, but I've got so many tools in my toolkit now that I work into my programs. So like in SIBO Freedom, we don't just have a treatment plan with supplements. We have a mental and emotional health plan that I take them through. What did I do? So I had a coach. I did energetic healing. I got a lot of benefit from a group coaching program that I did on like shadow work stuff. It sounds a bit hippie, but it was really helpful. And I still work with a psychotherapist, which I find fascinating. If I had more time, I would study to become a psychotherapist as well. Psychotherapy is getting curious about the patterns and behaviors that we have and why we tend to do things that we do. So when we can create and cultivate healthy habits, they will serve us. So our habits can either be the worst of masters or the best of servants. So I also coach my clients in how to create healthy habits, and then it just becomes so easy. So what works for me could be what works different for you. And I also like to say it doesn't just have to be one person that solves all your problems. Like creating a dream team can be really helpful. And also, if you find a practitioner that helps you get from A to B, it could also be that practitioner gets you from B to C, but maybe you need someone different to get you from D to E. The person that you are working with, the coach or the practitioner, can only take you as far as they have gone themselves. So when deciding who to work with, look for someone that has achieved what you want to achieve, and that can be a really good thing. All right. How does your program recommend supplements during protocols for different countries? Oh, I'm quite proud of myself actually. So years ago when I was setting up my business, I spent countless hours researching all the different products in all the different countries. So I've got accounts now with suppliers in all the different countries, and I also know where to source what products from based on where you live. So if you live in the States, I've got all these different links that you can use this company to order from. If you live in Canada, there's a different list. If you're in the UK, there's a different list. If you're in Europe, there's a different list. If you are in Australia, there's a different list. So I've spent, I don't even know how many hours researching all the different products, reading every single ingredient list to find the best products for where my clients are based. Pretty cool. And then with like SIBO Freedom. So SIBO Freedom is not just this my group coaching program. So it's not just for people with SIBO. It's like all the digestive problems, because when we get something like SIBO, it's a combination of multiple things that are broken down to allow the bacteria to get into your small intestine. So if you were to just focus on getting rid of the SIBO, it would just come right on back. I love to use analogies. So if you think about mosquitoes, so mosquitoes are drawn to stagnant water, but they didn't make the water stagnant. So if you were to just blast away the mosquitoes, as soon as the dust settles, fresh ones are going to come back. So if you only killed the SIBO bacteria, it's probably just going to come back. So this is when, if you read on Google, it talks about being a high relapse rate condition. That would be why. So Jordan's got a question, is Cefaxin and neomycin enough, or do we need to maintain with Elimax and oregano? So we should never be on anything that's going to kill bacteria long term. So even the natural stuff, so it is natural, but there can be some unbalancing or collateral damage. So any sort of treatment, I'll come more to this later. Antimicrobials is the shortest is 4 weeks, the longest is 8 weeks. For most of the time, it's 6. If you're on anything for longer than that, you do run the risk of hurting your good bacteria in your microbiome. And just doing Xifaxan and neomycin or just doing Alimax and oregano, that's not going to be addressing why you've got SIBO in the first place. So you need to make sure you've got, in the physical sense, you need to make sure you've got enough stomach acid. You need to make sure your motility is working well. You need to make sure you've got enough digestive enzymes. You need to make sure that you have resolved any leaky gut if that was there. So you need to do all these different things, and then also addressing any other body-wide stuff. So what's happening with hormones? Are you constantly in stress mode? Because if you are firing your adrenals all the time, that's going to suppress your digestion. So some adrenal stuff. So if you are tired all the time, if you go wired tired, like go, 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 go. So you're waking up tired in the morning, you swear that you're going to get an early night, and then bedtime comes and you faff around doing all the things, you resist going to bed and can't fall asleep. If you get dizzy when you stand up, that's not normal and is a sign of adrenal fatigue. So if that needs support, we have to support that as well, because otherwise your digestive system can never work optimally. So this is the sympathetic versus parasympathetic nervous system. So one will always be dominant. So if you are dominant in your stress response, if you aren't coping with stress so well, if you are tired, if you are not sleeping, that's going to suppress your digestive function as well. So it's all the things we need to address. How to fix adrenal problems? It depends where you got them. So it's always, 10 different people can have a headache with 10 different reasons why. So it's really important to work with someone that specializes in what you are trying to resolve. You'll get better so much faster. So we can get lost down Dr. Google rabbit holes. And so it depends on what's going on there. But I love using adaptogenic herbs, and as much as I can do without supplements, I will help my clients through that. So different techniques on managing stress is really good. Thanks. All right, so how to know if you have a SIBO? Test. So this is the only way to know for sure if you have SIBO or not. And you can do it's so easy to do. You can do it in the comfort of your own home, or wherever you are in the world. And it's really important to not just go by symptoms. So if I had just gone by symptoms, so I had a lifetime of constipation, and so that is usually associated with the methane SIBO, or EMO as it's now called. And then the diarrhea is usually associated with hydrogen SIBO. So I did my test. I was expecting to be methane dominant. My methane was absolutely fine. It was my hydrogen numbers that literally went off the chart and then came back down. So you must test. So this is what we call a breath test. So you need to follow a certain protocol before. So there's certain supplements that you need to stop for a certain amount of time beforehand, and you need to do a prep diet as well. And then you do this breath test. I like the 180 minutes. So the normal transit time through your small intestine is 120 minutes, but I like to do the full 180 so we get an insight into what's happening into your large intestine as well. Who has, doing a prep for diet tomorrow. How many of you think you may have SIBO but haven't done the test yet? How many have done the test, have found you have SIBO? How many of you don't actually even know where to start? I drank a lot of water. I am going to go somewhere for 1 minute. But if you pop in the comments where you're at, and we can go from there. It's a rookie error. I can't concentrate when I need to go to the bathroom. All right, what did we get? I think I might, but I haven't tested. Judith, I can highly recommend it, because even if it's like peace of mind, because we can be thinking about it, and it'd be so good just to know either way. So highly recommend it. Tested negative 3 months ago, and that you're still here. So we can definitely still have symptoms of SIBO, and it's not SIBO. If that is the case, then most of the time, I think I see the connection with an undergrowth of bacteria in our large intestine. Tested positive for both gases. Not that it's a competition, but it really sucks. Positive for both methane and hydrogen. Never tested, treated anyway based on symptoms. Feel very certain about it. Wondering if I should test now at 16 months from diagnosis. I expect I had it for years. So that's such a shame. I get really sad when I see that. Sorry, Dottie, that you went through that, because if you don't have SIBO, you don't want to treat for SIBO. You can put yourself further back. So, and then also, if you don't test, you don't know what kind of SIBO that you have. So there's different, so I go for the natural approach. I'm not one of those naturopaths that's like pharmaceuticals. There's absolutely a time and a place for antibiotics. I had to take some, I went on a surf trip and I cut my foot on day 2, and the whole thing swelled up and was getting infected, and I actually had a physical cry, but I knew that it was going to get out of control. So reef cuts in tropical water get out of control very quickly. I had to take some antibiotics, which is really sad. So absolutely a time and a place, but avoid them as much as possible, because they do have a negative impact on our good bacteria. So there's different pharmaceutical antibiotics for different kinds of bacteria, and there's also different natural antimicrobials for different kinds of bacteria. So if you have methane SIBO, then we use the Alimax. If you have hydrogen SIBO, then we use berberine. If you use berberine on methane guys, it's not going to have any impact, and it's going to negatively hurt your microbiome. So super, super, super important to test. And then also it's important to retest after doing any sort of treatment protocol. So with me, I did my herbal antimicrobials for the 6 weeks, and then I still felt bad. I still had bloating. I still felt tired. I still couldn't eat the foods. So I was like, oh, it didn't work. So I was getting ready to do a whole nother round. I bought all the products, and I was like, I'm just going to retest to check how much progress that I've made. And my SIBO was gone. So I was like, oh, how about that? So it shows you that it's never just about the SIBO. So I needed to rebuild my microbiome. I needed to heal my leaky gut. I needed to slowly reintroduce the foods. One of the biggest things, if I can say, is like slow and steady with food reintroduction. If you are at a place where you're only eating like 5 different foods and that's all you can tolerate, don't try and eat what I eat right now. You will feel bad. So for me, it's like I painted myself into this little corner. I need to slowly come back out with slow and gentle reintroduction, because your bacteria might still be there, but if they've been starved for a period of time, they can't do the work that we want them to do. So go slow and low. Done the test and tested positive, treated but still have symptoms. Yeah, that was me too. How does your program help stubborn cases? I've been on 3 rounds of eradication and restricted diet and treatment over the last year. My program was so good. So I've had clients that have seen 7, 8, 9, 10 practitioners before me, been struggling for years. How long you've been struggling for doesn't necessarily equate to how long you're going to need to do treatment for. So my programs, yes, we are looking at the bacteria, if it's the SIBO or if it's the large intestine stuff, but we're also doing all the other things as well. So all the other things in terms of digestive health. So do we need to take out other bacteria? Do we need to take out candida? Do you need more stomach acid? Do you need more digestive enzymes? What's happening with your motility? What's happening with your elimination? And then also it's about how to introduce the food back. And then also it's different habits and routines, and also emotional work, and also depending on the person. So it's a group coaching program, but the specifics are different for all my clients that are in it. So what that means is, like, we do an extensive health questionnaire. Oh, a little spoiler alert on the bonus. I have a special on at the moment where it was the first 10 or until the 10th when you sign up to SIBO Freedom. If you sign up in the next 20, what day is it today? 48 hours, then you get a bonus consult with my team. But even without that, we do an extensive health questionnaire where I'm looking at the whole body. It's not just about your digestive system. And then based on that, and then any treatments, any test results that you have, we design a treatment protocol specific to you. So the method is the same. It's a 3-month program because it takes a minimum amount of time to get your digestive system back into balance, but the specifics are different. So based on the kind of SIBO that you have, based on the symptoms that you're having, based on any other conditions that you are going through. So with me, I can't tell you my one root cause for getting SIBO. Like I had digestive issues from birth, pretty much. So by me healing up all the individual parts of my digestive system, it is now this self-regulating machine that I don't need to get involved in. So I just need to make sure that I eat my good foods, get my rest, drink my water. It does everything else. There's no supplements that I take all the time anymore. So yeah, when everything is resolved in that way, when each individual part is working well, it comes together to work as it should. And then we also discuss like any underlying causes. Is we look into mold, we look into other stuff as well. Emo, but my methane is gone. I had hydrogen elevate come up and down, but I was told my SIBO is gone, but still full of symptoms. It's so common. Cool. Oh, sorry, and the retesting. Sorry, cool, Dottie. Retesting is so important to know that your treatment worked. Cute. How do you test for parasites? So the way that I go with, I'm going to move on after this one. The way that I go with testing is if it's going to change my treatment protocol, as in if I need that information to know what treatment plan is going to be appropriate. So I do need the SIBO test. So one, it's going to tell me if you've got SIBO or not. If you do have SIBO, we need to do SIBO treatment. If you don't have SIBO, awesome. It tends to be so much easier and simpler to resolve. Then if you do have SIBO, it tells me the kind of SIBO that you have. Most of my clients have had some issues going on for a period of time. So when I do my treatment protocols, I include some cleaning up stuff as well, because little bits of parasites are so common from there. Then if someone is not responding as is expected, then I might order additional testing. So with parasites, it tends to be a stool test. So I'm using the PCR testing, which is the most accurate, polymerase chain reactive testing. But you can go by symptoms as well. So if you've got itchy skin, if you're craving food all the time, there's so many, but then, and they overlap as well, like constipation, diarrhea, itchy skin, itchy bum. Okay. Oh my gosh, there's so many good questions. I would love to come to them all, but I just need to carry on. So I will, if I've got time at the end, come back to those, my loves. So at home breath test, wherever you are in the world, measures the gases. And we've got a news because other people were like, I don't know where to get it from. So I've added a service. So you can order a breath test with us, and then we will get that to you wherever you are in the world, and also send you through an interpretation of the results. Because I get some clients coming to see me, and it's such a shame. Sometimes I'll look through their test result from 5 years ago, and I wouldn't have said that it was SIBO, but they've now done multiple rounds of treatment, and now they have SIBO. So it's very important to have the correct interpretation. So you can, that's on my website. If you want to order a test and know what it means, we offer that as a service for you. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Just a little bit. So hydrogen sulfide is like this, the new one that we can measure through the Trio Smart test. And methane is a rise of more than 12 parts per million in the first 100 to 120 minutes, and then hydrogen more than 20. How do you get access to the tests and our test results without being a physician, or are you in the medical group? I missed your background. So I am a naturopath, and then when you order them through us, because I would be your practitioner, then I get access to the results. So it's to do, I forget the actual classifying of it. Different countries have different rules, but if you have test results, or if you don't currently have them, but your practitioner does, you can just request for them to be released. So yeah, no problem. Can I explain what a naturopath is? What's my time? Naturopath is like a general practice. It's like a GP of natural medicine. So a GP would be a doctor with either Western medicine or Orthodox medicine. As naturopaths, we love to know everything about everything. It's a holistic approach, and we use natural treatments to resolve it. So I know a lot about everything. I'm actually pretty smart. And then I have I've specifically chosen to specialize in digestive health, and then specialize in SIBO as well. So we look at the whole body, and we use natural things, so like diet, supplements, herbal medicine, depending on what's needed for the person. Okay, so kind of going through that already. Herbal antimicrobials. The elemental diet I only use as a last resort. So the elemental diet is when you get your nutrients in a pre-digested form. So what that means is instead of having whole proteins, you would have just the individual amino acids. The reason why I don't use it first up is because, yes, it can be effective at clearing out the SIBO bacteria, but it won't address all the other things. It won't address your microbiome. It won't address motility. It won't address healing your gut lining. It won't address the emotional side of food fear. Who can relate to having food fear? I used to be so scared of food. Going out to eat at a restaurant was a nightmare. If anyone asked me out for dinner at their house, I would freak out. I was so scared of food. So I find with the elemental diet, because food fear is so common and it's such a real thing, it can make that worse. So with my programs, it's gentle and controlled and supportive reintroduction of food as well. And we don't get that with the, oh, bowel, I know, I get that. I was so isolated with my digestive issues. I lost a huge chunk of my life. It was really sad. Val doesn't eat out anymore. That's one of our exercises, is how to eat out in restaurants. Yeah. Okay, what's this one? SIBO Freedom. Just so you know, so SIBO Freedom is coming up in September. This is my 12-week group coaching program that deals with SIBO and all the other digestive stuff. I am super proud of it. I'm super happy with it. It's amazing. How many of you have heard of SIBO Freedom? I talk about it quite a bit on my stuff, but that's that one. So it's never just about SIBO. We need to make sure that all the parts are working well. I love it. And it's about freedom. So it's not just like freedom from SIBO, but it's freedom with your life. I know for me, the difference between feeling fixed versus feeling healed. So I had all my digestive issues. I had the binge eating. I had the self-loathing. I was depressed. I was sad. And I never went anywhere. I never went out. I never did anything because I was so ashamed. And also it was so hard to eat anything. And a couple of years ago, I was going with some friends. I'm mad about it. I love surfing. I love surfing. I was going with some friends on a surf trip to a different island in Indonesia. There was like 10 of us, and we go on the surf trip. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And as I was in the car with all the surfboards on the top, and it was like chit-chatting in the car, I realized like I don't feel scared. Like I don't know what the food situation is where we're going. I knew that it would be pretty basic. So in Bali, there's lots of restaurants to cater to Westerners, but once you're outside of Bali, it's pretty much fried rice and stuff. So going on this surf trip to this place where I didn't know what the food situation was going to be and feeling safe was when I really felt like I got to the stage of feeling healed. Not just that I'd fixed my digestive issues, but I felt healed from them. So that was really nice. So this is a special bonus that I kind of said here. So I released this on my Instagram. We actually only had Rachel, I graduated SIBO Freedom in June and am SIBO free for the first time in 11 years. 10 out of 10 recommend, and not paid to say this. It's just that worth it. Oh, Rachel, you're so amazing. Rachel, you are just magnificent. It was such a joy having you in SIBO Freedom. So that's a really good example of you can be sick for so long and it doesn't necessarily take that long to get better. I'm sure Rachel can relate to like when we start SIBO Freedom, it's like 3 months, like, oh, it's so long. And we get through like 1 week down, 3 weeks down, 8 weeks down. And before you know it, you have graduated from SIBO Freedom. Is there any way to work with you one-on-one? No, so SIBO Freedom is the only way to work directly with me. I do have a team of naturopaths, so there are available one-on-one consults with my team, but to work directly with me, it's in SIBO Freedom. It's so lovely and so supportive. It's pretty cool. So the special bonus offer is just until the end of the 10th of August, and I released it either till the 10th of August or the first 10 people. We already had 9 signups. There is just one more spot. But for those of you that are here and in this webinar or watching the recording, I'll extend it until like the 48 hours is up. So up until the end of the 10th of August, more than that one spot, or until SIBO Freedom fills 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. So I've got 6 spots left in the regular SIBO Freedom, and then I've also got a pregnancy and breastfeeding edition. I don't do payment plans. It would be upfront. I find that like when we need to be invested in our health, and I have the money as like an energy exchange. So this is the energy and love that I put into this program. So that's the financial investment for the program. The next one will be earliest in February. So what's it, about 6 months from now. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So the consult. So if you sign up within the next 48 hours, you'll also get a bonus consultation with my team, which is valued at $350. All right, before we go to Q&A, any questions on SIBO Freedom? Yeah, it's pretty cool. I love it. 12-week online group coaching program. We have a live session each week, and then we are available to answer questions during the week as well. I know from my experience of programs that I have done or practitioners that I have seen. Years ago, I went to go see an Ayurvedic practitioner, and I left with a little handout on a food list and go off and do that and come back in 2 months. I never did anything with it because I didn't have the support and I was really unsure. So when you are in SIBO Freedom, there is so much support, there is so much advice, there's so much like accountability as well. So any question that you have or anything you're unsure about, you have the opportunity to ask us directly and you'll get your answer pretty fast. It's amazing. Will you be part of the weekly live sessions? Yes, I lead almost all the weekly sessions, and then they are also recorded. So the so the time investment is the live sessions are usually about an hour and a half, and then they are also recorded and uploaded into our private Facebook group. So yeah, you get to work directly with me. We're just on the other side of the screen, get to have chats. It's pretty cool, man. Do I look at results? 100%. It's important to have had a SIBO test before we start the antimicrobial stage of the treatment plan. So we get started in the beginning of September, so the 8th, my 8th, depending on where you are in the world. And then we start the antimicrobials a couple of weeks in, so we have time to prepare the body to get ready to do the antimicrobials. If you were to just jump straight into it with antimicrobials, you probably won't feel very good. So there's a whole process that we go through. And any results that you have, we do that as well. Do you do antimicrobials in the breastfeeding one? The breastfeeding, if you are breastfeeding, then yes, that tends to be fine. So it's called the pregnancy and breastfeeding. And I brought this one. Oh, Alexandra's going to do the pregnancy one. I brought this one out because there's such a big belief that you can't do anything with SIBO or digestive issues while pregnant. The opposite is true. There is so much that you should be doing while pregnant and breastfeeding. What you can do depends on the stage of pregnancy or breastfeeding that you are in. So first trimester, we want to be working on rebuilding and balancing. We don't want to be killing anything. Then as you get further through, your body gets stronger. And then there are certain antimicrobials that are okay during pregnancy. So there's lots that you don't want to do with herbal medicine in pregnancy, but there's so much that you can do as well. And then a big part of my why of fixing my, it's so important to know your why. It's a big part of my why of fixing my digestive issues was because I can't wait to be a mom. I'm gonna be such a good mom, I know it. But I didn't want any child of mine to go through what I went through. So I couldn't pass on a healthy digestive system if I didn't have one. So a healthy, strong microbiome for a child comes from the mother during pregnancy and also breastfeeding. So if you have already given birth, it's not too late. It's never too late to pass on good digestive health to your child. There's so much you can do. If I've been on a protocol with herbs that hasn't worked, will you suggest different ones? Depends. I will be looking through your case history. I'll be looking at your test results. And one common mistake I see with SIBO treatment is not doing the correct dosage or not doing the correct length of time or not doing things in the correct order. So it depends on what's going on there, my lovely Krista. Do you help with the reintroduction of foods and the ordered dose of reintroduction to test for intolerance? 100%. We start this from day one. So you can start working on microbiome health from day one with the reintroduction of foods. I also have my own list that I've worked on for what happens after SIBO. So I felt like there's this big gap. There's like the SIBO specific diet, there's the biphasic diet, and then there is the rest of the world. So I've also got food lists to help you get from not just the biphasic diet, but what after, and then what's next, and then what's next, all the way to beer and pizza or wine and cheese, if that's what you choose to do. Yes, I'm always in my third trimester. Congratulations. That is so exciting. Do you know if you're having a boy or girl? Are you going to find out? Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Yay. Jennifer's already in. Can't wait to work with you in September. Yeah, can't wait to get to know you even more. Lovely, Jennifer. Super cool. What could gurgling in the stomach mean on both full, empty stomach, morning and night? Often things with motility and also like a deficiency in enough of our good bacteria. I've been afraid to do antimicrobials since I have so few poops, especially since I have MTHFR issues. Is this program tailored enough to each individual in a group setting? 100%. Yeah, so we are looking at you, the person, and the beauty of the group setting is that you get to go through it with people that can relate to what you're going through, that are in the same boat as you. You get the support, you get the accountability, you get our expert knowledge. Like I'm such a nerd about this and I've been through it, so I know it inside out. So it's so invaluable to be able to like have me there to say like, oh, I've got this symptom going on. Is this something that is normal? Should I push through or do we need to adjust? So we have a treatment plan for you, but we are constantly adjusting it based on how you are responding to treatment or what's going on for you. So yeah, I've had many clients that have not had success in the past and then do it properly in the correct order at the correct dosage and then get the results that they want. What is the emotional work you help with in the course? So I have like the base stuff that I have built into my program, and then because it's a live session, like if you've got something specific going on, I can help specifically with that. Again, with the caveat that I'm not a mental health practitioner. It's just that I've been through so much in my life, so I've got such great tools, and I teach you like how to do your own mental health plan, like how to like identify things that are serving you, that things that aren't. And I always say like I'm not perfect like now, and letting go of perfection helped me heal so much. There is a huge connection with perfectionism and type A personality types and digestive issues. So we work through that as well. It's scattered in throughout the course. I've also got a practitioner that does theta healing, so we have that brought in. There's so much that you can't separate the two. How much is the class? So it comes out to about $200 a week. So it's $2,450 for the full 3 months. All the sessions and recordings, and you have lifetime access to the information as well. Have you had clients that have tested negative for SIBO but had bloating and constipation? Totally. Probably about half the people that join SIBO Freedom actually have SIBO. So the methods is the same with most of the digestive issues, but the specifics are different. So 100% you can have bloating and constipation without SIBO. So microbiome stuff, leaky gut stuff, food intolerances, vagus nerve issues, anxiety can cause them. There's so many things. US dollars. Is it better to do SIBO Freedom or your microbiome course? Depends on your learning style and depends on where you're at, really. So I've got a self-guided microbiome course. For those of you that don't know, it's called the Microbiome Method. Excuse me. And that's like rebuilding and rebalancing. So that's if you do not have SIBO. So if you have SIBO, you cannot do the microbiome method. It could make it worse. There's different prebiotics in there that feed SIBO. So you need to be SIBO free. If you were to start with the microbiome course, we kind of need to start now. So if you were to invest in the microbiome method and then actually decide you wish you'd done SIBO Freedom, you can use that investment of the self-guided course against your investment of SIBO Freedom. So we can just take that off, no problem. I'm absolutely fine with doing that. So you can start that, see if you like it. If not, come back to there. How much is the testing throughout the program? The one test I 100% need is the SIBO test. And a lot of the time I don't actually need other testing. So I reserve testing for when I feel it's absolutely necessary. So sometimes if I am suspecting mycotoxins, I might recommend that testing. But if I don't suspect it, I won't order it. Save your monies, man. Is microbiome mastery or SIBO Freedom better for microbiome issues? So I don't actually do microbiome mastery anymore because SIBO Freedom covers it. So all the content in microbiome mastery is in, so microbiome mastery is the group coaching one, because everybody in SIBO Freedom needs to work on the microbiome. I think most people with digestive issues need to work on your microbiome. So that's all built into SIBO Freedom. So you don't have to have SIBO to join SIBO Freedom. What about the SIBO program you have, the self-guided one? So that one's called Fix Your SIBO. So yeah, if you were to invest in Fix Your SIBO and then decide that you want to join SIBO Freedom, then you can use that investment. This bonus is only for the next 48 hours though. And then depends if SIBO Freedom fills up before you've tried it, I guess. Are there specific groups of food that are common foods that irritate people with SIBO, each type? And if so, can you quickly share? So it tends to be the fiber foods, which is often the healthiest foods. So fiber is the indigestible part of the plant food, and we rely on bacteria to break it down. So us human cells, we can't break it down. Did you know human cells, bacterial cells outnumber human cells 10 to 1? So we've got more bacterial cells in our body than human cells. You want to think about the vastness of our, gosh, this is so cool. So in our microbiome, it's the collection of microbes. So it's the environment for the microbes, microbiome. And that is our bacteria, yeasts, parasites, protozoa. There are 100 trillion microbes in and on our body. If you were to take one microbe equaling one blade of grass, it would be enough blades of grass to cover 1 million football fields. Not just one football field, 1 million football fields. That's how many microbes we have in and on our body. It's magnificent. So the bacteria, their way of digesting is through fermentation. They get the food, they digest it, and they ferment it. So they love the fiber. So if we've got the fiber, if we've got the bacteria in our small intestine and we're eating fiber, they're getting it, they're causing the bloat. It's like they get first dibs on your food. So it's like double whammy negative. One, they get first dibs, they cause the bloating and the gas. And then also you don't get the nutrition from that food. So, and it's not, the answer is not to completely eliminate these forever. So say you broke your leg, yeah, you might need to wear a cast, walk on crutches. If you ever want to use it again, you're going to need to do the treatment required to fix it. So if you just broke it and did nothing with it, you're not going to get the use of your leg back. So you do need to be specific with foods for a period of time and then coming back and reintroducing all these foods because they are really health foods. So the common IBS symptom triggers or bloating triggers would be things like onion and garlic because they're super high in fructans. So while treating SIBO, while treating digestive issues, you might choose not to have those, focus on these ones, and then gently reintroduce everything back at a time when it's appropriate. Does that make sense, my love? So how do you test for elimination problems? Kind of knowing if you're eliminating properly is my first step from there. That makes sense. And that's a nice long one. I might come back to that one, Anne. Good to see you again. Hope to hear about poop. Doing well after SIBO Freedom. That's quite a long one. I'm just going to copy and paste it so I don't lose it and come back to that, my love. Where can I copy and paste that to? Boom, 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 boom. Oh my gosh, I get so excited about talking about all the things. It's so cool, guys. When you get to the bottom of things and heal it from there, you not only get better, but stay better as well. And it doesn't have to suck while you do it. So a huge mistake that I made was I just stayed way too isolated with all my problems. I was like, I'm just going to shut myself away for 3 months, deal with this, and then come back out. That I feel slowed down my progress. So yeah, as we go through SIBO Freedom, it's about getting out there and living your life and enjoying your life in ways that are also conducive to getting better. Should you avoid fermented food until you're totally SIBO free, or are they brought in during reintroduction of food? Depends on the person again. Most of the time, yes. So we use the food part with, like, say, the biphasic diet or whatever you choose to do. We use that to help to control symptoms or reduce symptoms. And then it's all the other stuff that helps to resolve it so it doesn't come back. What I mean by that, so we can use the food to minimize the bloating and the food intolerances and the reactions. And then it's the antimicrobials that are actually going to get the bacteria out, or the antifungals that are actually going to get the candida out. And then we are using different supplements to heal your gut lining. And then if you think about your baseline, so probably most of you that are here that are suffering with your digestion, you're quite a little bit below where you want to be. So when we can heal you enough, it's like the intensive part. So SIBO Freedom is like intense gut healing. And so we get you over here. So then you can maintain through your food and you can maintain through your lifestyle. So heal enough. So then you don't need supplements for the rest of your life. I really don't believe there should be, that anybody should be in any supplement for the rest of their life ever. Like, I've got magnesium often on hand. I've got pre and probiotics because this is my jam. I love it. But there's nothing that I take all the time. My body works as it's designed to work. The body is so capable of healing. It just needs the right support. Do you learn all the same things, receive the same protocols in the Fix Sibo program? Is the difference not having the one-on-one support with you? Yeah, so it's self-guided. So because I'd done so many years of private consults, I saw what things kept coming up all the time. And from that, I developed SIBO Freedom. And then from doing SIBO Freedom so many times, I saw what questions would come up in which week, in which part. So all that information I have collated into the self-guided thing. So you need to be able to be self-motivated, and yes, not available for questions or clarification or, oh, this symptom's popped up, what should I do? That's in SIBO Freedom. So because I need to know what's going on with you to be able to give medical advice. So if you notice on my social media, even in this program, I have not told anybody what they should do. It's like, this is what's recommended in this case, but I'll never, ever, ever, ever tell anybody what they should do unless I've taken them on as a client and I have reviewed their full case history and test results. So when I know what's going on with you, then I can give advice specific to you. I don't give generic advice to everybody. I don't tell you what you should do unless I've taken you on as a client. So yeah, so direct support with me and my team and the others, and going through it with others that you are going through what you're going through. Could you recommend a biphasic diet cookbook? Rebecca Coombs is, like, she's got her cookbooks, but she is quite animal protein heavy. So I am mostly plant-based, and I'm not 100% plant-based. But I've noticed there's so much research behind it, and my personal benefits and the benefits of my clients. I am a huge advocate for a plant-based way of eating. It doesn't have to be completely, and it's not about like one day all the meat, next day all the thing. Because when we eat a plant-based diet, it helps to feed the kind of bacteria that we do want, and also starves the kind of bacteria that we don't want. When we eat a heavy animal fat diet, it starves the bacteria that we do want, and it also feeds the bacteria that we don't want. So there's hydrogen guys that I talked about, the hydrogen sulfide, desulfibrio. They thrive off animal fat. So it's like a double negative. So there is Rebecca Coombs, but it is quite animal protein heavy. In SIBO Freedom, I've got a huge, I don't make recipes, it's not really my jam, but I will take a recipe and adjust it and make it SIBO friendly or biphasic diet friendly. So in SIBO Freedom, I've got the food lists, I've got recipes, I've got meal plans, so anything to make it easier for you. And then I also teach you guys like how to make recipes work for you. So lots of information there. How can we help improve the MMC? I'm so reliant on magnesium, which concerns me. There's so many different things. One of the biggest things actually, and it's hard. No one likes to be told that they're stressed. I remember once someone says like, "Oh, you seem quite stressed." No, I'm not. What are you talking about? So I'm always looking into how well our body is responding or coping with the stressors in our life. So working on the vagus nerve is one of the most important things when it comes to our motility. So the vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the body, and it controls our digestive system by turning on the parasympathetic nervous system. The beautiful thing with that is it doesn't just focus on the migrating motor complex, it's also going to help you with correct amounts of stomach acid. Not too much, not too little. It's also going to help you with the release of your digestive enzymes. It's also going to help with the timing of the opening and closing of your stomach valve. Lots of things from them. There are also different supplements that help with the migrating motor complex. One of them would be like Motil Pro. Another cool thing about the body though, so in Motil Pro, that one of the main ingredients is something called 5-HTP, which is your 5-hydroxytryptophan. Then 5-hydroxytryptophan is, so when we eat tryptophan, it can go down a couple different pathways, and then one of those pathways is serotonin. When we take something called 5-HTP, the 5-hydroxytryptophan, it's already started walking down that path, so it can only become serotonin. Serotonin is a natural form of prokinetic. So prokinetic is pro-movement. It's different to the migrating motor complex, but it is connected. And then if we have enough good bacteria in our digestive system, it makes its own serotonin. Up to 96% of serotonin is produced in our gut. So when we can get our gut working well, it becomes a self-regulating machine that helps naturally with our migrating motor complex. Meal spacing is also very, very important. Any amount of any amount of garlic and onion forbidden, or is it okay to have a very small amount? Depending on what's going for you, my love. I eat loads of onion and garlic now that my digestive system is so strong and healthy and amazing. How do you treat? Oh, they're ready. Or was that just re-asked again? So if it's a microbiome issue, should you still do the biphasic diet until no symptoms? No. So the biphasic diet we don't want to do for longer than 3 to 4 months, actually. So the biphasic diet is a combination of the low FODMAP diet, the SIBO specific diet, and also naturopathic principles. What that means is that, Alexandra, thank you, Kirsten, you're awesome. See you at the pregnancy edition. See you later. Sorry, I lost my throat. Naturopathic principles. So if you've seen the low FODMAP diet, white bread is okay, but white bread is going to cause inflammation in the gut. That's going to slow down healing. The biphasic diet is super cool. So I often use this as a starting point for my clients because it's so good at reducing inflammation and irritation, and it's just really well tolerated. And then as soon as the person is ready, I help you to get to the next stage, to the next stage, to the next stage. And that will be different for each of you. For some people, it could be that you need to be very specific for 2 days and then move. And the last one, Gemma, she lost about 4 pounds of water weight in the first week when I got her to change the foods. So if you lose that much weight that quickly, that's not fat, that'd be inflammation, water weight. So she felt immediate relief from going onto the biphasic diet. So I could move her through much quicker through all the other stages. Whereas if someone's got lots of other stuff going on and still has lots of inflammation, then they might need to be on it for longer. But ideally no longer than 4 months, because it is low in the fermentable fibers, which we do need. So even things like onion and garlic can still be tolerated by some people with SIBO. It's not that you can't have any of these things, just at the right time for the right person. What's the last date we can sign up? I need to be retested first, which may take a few weeks. Do you think it's possible to fully get rid of SIBO as a vegetarian? I reintroduced meat during a protocol since I was losing too much weight. Well, Rachel, that was here, I don't know if you're still here, Rachel. Rachel is vegan for ethical reasons and went through the whole program of SIBO Freedom vegan. And Rachel had SIBO for 11 years, does not have SIBO anymore. So absolutely it's possible. Last date you can sign up is the day that we start. So we get started on my 8th of September. And the results don't take too long. So if you order a test result with us, you can get a kit within about a week. And then once the lab receives your sample back, it takes about a week to get the results. So you're looking at about 2 weeks. So yeah, and you don't have to have SIBO to sign up. I just do need that information to design your treatment protocol to make it appropriate for you. So any digestive issues, you're welcome to join SIBO Freedom. If going through your intake form and if having a chat with you, I decide it's not appropriate, I'll let you know. It's never happened before, but yeah, there is that there. And also with the weight stuff, so I clearly gained a lot of weight. Now I weigh about 65 kilos, which is 65, so what's that, 130, I don't know, 140 pounds. At that big, I was technically obese. So I weighed almost 90 kilos, I think, which is almost 200 pounds. I was in the obese category. So for me, that was my thing. And part of that was the binge eating. But it's also probably equally as common for people going through digestive issues to lose weight. So we come back to that as well. When the body is in balance, your body weight will be in balance as well. It's never as simple as calories in, calories out. They do count, but there's so much more involved with that. So like you could have the best diet in the whole wide world, Krista, but if your body can't break it down and absorb the nutrition from it, you're going to end up malnourished. You can take the exact same meal. So say this meal, like on a scientific or technical level, has 400 calories. If I eat it, I might get 400 calories from it. But if your digestive system is irritated and inflamed, it's passing through too fast, you can't absorb it, you maybe only get 200 calories from that. So even if you're consuming 2,000 calories in a day, what you're actually absorbing could be way less. And that could be one cause of weight loss. Lots of things. Could you take a 5-HTP supplement by itself? You could, if it's appropriate for you. Does SIBO affect fertility? For sure. I lost my period for 2 years. There were other things going on. I was also restricted dieting, but anytime there's like inflammation, anytime like your body is in stress mode, it's going to negatively affect fertility. There's something called the HPA axis, which is your hypothalamus pituitary adrenal gland axis. And there's another one called your HPG axis, which is your hypothalamus pituitary gonadal axis. So your gonadal ones, this is going to be producing your sex hormones. Survival instinct trumps everything. It's our primal instinct. The body is designed to keep us alive. So if the body is under threat, if it's a real threat or perceived threat, it will go into stress mode. So this is the primary instinct. So if you are running away from someone that's chasing you with a gun, you don't need to necessarily be able to think right now about digesting the apple you ate for breakfast. It's also, you don't need to think about making babies at a time when your life is in danger. It's not optimal. So the survival instinct is always going to trump everything. Two of our major stress hormones are cortisol and adrenaline. So cortisol helps us make the best decisions in the shortest amount of time. So am I going to run away from this gunman, or am I going to stay and fight him? Where's the nearest exit? What's going on? So the body's always going to be making cortisol when it's in stress mode. When it runs out of base nutrients to make cortisol, it can steal it from your HPG axis. It's called the pregnenolone steal. So pregnenolone was the base steroid hormone that would go on to make the other reproductive hormones. So if your body is in stress mode, and digestive issues are so stressful, they're physically stressful, they're causing lots of inflammation. They're also mentally and emotionally stressful. So if your body is under stress, and SIBO is stress on the body, then it takes this pregnenolone away from your base steroid hormones. If you've got low libido, you've got low sex hormones. So libido is one of the first things to go when a body is under threat, perceived or otherwise. Definitely. So yeah, so not only have I got my period back and I'm pretty much bang on 28 days, I get so excited. I got my period at the moment actually. And then when it comes, I'm like, yay, period. I also have a nice healthy libido again. So back when I had my SIBO stuff and I shared part of my big why is I can't wait to be a mum, I wasn't even dating then. I had such low self-worth that I didn't even want to think about dating. I had low libido. I wasn't going out anywhere. So it's all connected. Nice, strong, healthy libido. And I'm dating again, which is just lovely. How do you determine if someone has too much or too little stomach acid? So there are scientific in the lab tests that you can do, but if you are not digesting your food so well, then that can show me that you've got stomach acid. If you are burping after meals, that can be an issue with stomach acid. If you have reflux, this can be an issue with stomach acid. We also need the stomach acid to kill bacteria as we're swallowing it, because we are constantly putting the outside world on the inside of our body. So we need good amounts of stomach acid to kill bacteria and yeasts and things as they pass through our digestive tract. Super common. Do you ever see a connection with Sibo and endometriosis? Yes, a lot. And you can have them both together. The symptoms are very similar as well. There's them, and they're both very inflammatory conditions. They're both very painful. They have a big connection. I have hypothalamic amenorrhea 5 years now with no period. That's super sad, my love. I know the first couple of months that I missed my period, I was a little bit like, oh, cool, no period. And then every month that I missed it after that, it was just like this little dagger. I was like, this is really sad. Like, where's my womanhood? So definitely looking into like adrenal stuff. So the HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. And then often like the herbs that you might see, like if you've gone to like a health food store and you might see a libido product, the herbs in there are adrenal tonic herbs, and they are adaptogenic herbs. So absolutely believe it's possible to get that back. That would be another point for you to nurture. So people that come into SIBO Freedom, I look at things like this. So if you have hypothalamic amenorrhea, we have to address that because that's going to have an impact on your digestion as well. So if there's an issue with the hypothalamus, there's often an issue with the adrenals, and we have to work on that if we want you to get to a place where your digestive issues are healed as well. You're welcome, my love. Do you see a reduction in endometriosis symptoms once SIBO is cleared up? I often do, yes, because endometriosis is very inflammatory. So when any way that we can reduce the inflammation, that's going to help with endometriosis. If someone has endometriosis or any sort of abdominal trauma, we are helping with scar tissue as well. So scar tissue can lead to adhesions. So if you have adhesions, they have to be addressed. If they're mild adhesions, we can do them with different supplements. If they are extensive adhesions, I do refer on to people that do adhesion therapy. So one is like Clear Passage, they specialize in that. Adhesions, if you think of like the shower drain, so if your shower drain is nice and clear, the water is just going to flow through no problem. If you've got hair clogging up your drain, the water will still pass through, but just a lot slower. So if you have adhesions, yes, your food can still going to get through, but it definitely slows it down. And then it's like a breeding ground for SIBO and bacteria and yeasts and stuff like that. Sorry that you're going through that. It's very painful. Could SIBO cause early menopause? Yeah. Back to what I was kind of saying with the sex hormones. So there's definitely a connection with hormones and digestive issues and inflammation and stress. And also if your body's not being able to get the nutrients from the food that you're eating, that can mess around all the hormones as well. Cool. Oh my gosh, there's lots of questions. I think I got them all. Does anyone have any other questions? This has been extremely helpful and nice to chat on the other side of the screen with you. You are welcome, Sally. Oopsie. Oh, there's a spider. Hi. Hashtag Bali life. So I don't know what this means. SIBO for folks who can't afford dollar tests to confirm, but have lots of knowledge of treating all kinds of SIBO, etc. So much good info, but so many of us simply can't afford the doctors or the test. So we are treating ourselves based on symptoms and applied knowledge from SIBO SOS courses, along with so many others. So when deciding which test you want to get, I would definitely start with the SIBO test. So it will give you so much information from there. And then when you work with a practitioner that knows what's going on with your body, you might not need other testing. So that would be where I would start. You are welcome, my loves. You are welcome, my loves. You are welcome. Aww. You guys, I love talking about this and I love sharing and know that you absolutely can heal. So SIBO is a bit of a beast, but it doesn't have to be. Yeah. Biggest takeaway, like if you can just focus on like remembering like when you can heal all the parts that need healing, your body will do the rest. So we just need to give it the right ingredients, the right environment, and it will do its thing. And no matter how long you've been sick, it's never too late to start. And how long you've been sick will not determine how long you have to be in treatment for. You just need to make sure you're doing the right treatment that is appropriate for you, and then you'll get better faster. You are welcome. You are welcome, my loves. Could adaptogenic herbs be cure for SIBO? No, I don't feel like that. So if you do have SIBO, if you do have the bacteria or methanogens in your small intestine, you will need to take corrective measures to get them out. So if it's the herbal antimicrobials, if you choose the pharmaceuticals, if you choose the elemental, so no, you need to actually kill them. So you can manage things with food, but it will never resolve the problem completely. So once you've ended up with something like SIBO, if you think about it, like the body's got so many defense mechanisms placed to stop that happening. So something or some things have broken down to allow it to get there. So it could be your low stomach acid. It could be a faulty ileocecal valve that's coming up from the large intestine. It could be chronic prolonged stress because that will shut down your digestive system. It shuts down your immune system. So get all the defense mechanisms back in place, get it working as it should, and it will function as it should. Oh, Dottie, you're adorable. I think I'm going to leave it there. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I had a lovely time as always. Any questions after, you can just email my team, info@kirsten-green.com. And yeah, that is the ins and outs of bloating and SIBO and stuff like that. And SIBO Freedom getting started soon. Bonus offer finishes in 48 hours. Would love to have you there. Super cool. Lots of love. And I'm gonna go. Okay, the recording will be sent out a little bit later on today. You guys are superstars, and I'm sending you so much love. All right. I see you later. I see you later.